Brett, can you hear us?
It's connecting.
I can hear you, fellas.
There he
All
is.
right, we're good now.
I
Good.
could
I was
read.
trying technical difficulties in the Stanton house. I was trying to use a computer. Gonna have to go back to the phone.
I could read your lips there a second ago.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
Well, after a 2-week hiatus, we're back. Harbin, we took a week off last week because you and Big Montana just had to watch the Cowboys play. And what happened to the Cowboys last Sunday night?
Hey, it's week 5. They didn't have their best game. We're coming back and we're going to beat the Chargers because they have bad leadership. Don't put this all on me in Montana, though. You blamed being in Texas for the fact that you couldn't jump on a Zoom call.
I didn't have any recording stuff. I had no way to edit it. I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, laptop. Sad.
But I wouldn't have been able to edit it till Saturday. It'd have been the game Saturday.
Those listening, we'll blame it on a collective group effort. Nice just didn't get his way Sunday night, so he wants to blame it on me and Bowling. We'll take partial blame, but he is to blame that we didn't get it done midweek.
Erroneous on all counts.
I think this whole thing's blasphemy.
It was the topic of conversation at Caswell about there not being a podcast. So there was some upset fans out there.
I heard there was some very upset fans this week, and I'd like to apologize on behalf of Big Montana and Harb.
I think they labeled themselves as unsubscribers.
Oh my! Well, yeah. We had.
I said, "Whoa!"
We had an increase in subscribers on our YouTube channel this past 2 weeks. So,
hey,
nice.
All I've got to say is I guarantee one of those unsubscribers left a question that I'll be answering towards the end of the show.
I would say you're probably right.
Good point. We have 2 questions from the last show, so we'll get to those a little later on. But yeah, if you unsubscribe to the show, you might be a hater and a loser.
Bingo.
A big time hater and a loser.
Do we have a way to see if you unsubscribed or unfollowed? Maybe I could nominate them for my hater or loser if it was one of them.
See if you can dig around and find out. I don't think I have. I can pull that info.
I'm not sure I know how to do that either.
Well, the Vols won yesterday. This is Sunday night, 20-13 over the Aggies from Texas. Vols improved to 5-1, but I need to get to Harbin first because it was a very emotional car ride home last night. Harbin, you were all kinds of fired up. Tell us about what happened yesterday after the game.
Man, I ran back to Big Montana's truck. Me and my buddy, we're fired up. Big win against a quality opponent, SEC win. Which, if you watched 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know that those are not guaranteed. I thought that had to go without saying, but obviously I have to say it. Kevin Griff and his wife Chassie come up, and I figured we'd be celebrating. I went to give Griff a high five, and he said, "Man, Joe Milton played like shit." And I was like, okay, it's one comment, whatever. But he kept going. Him and Chassie both talking about how they wanted to see Nico and all this stuff. And be quite honest with you, it pissed me off. I looked at Griff and I said, "Griff, when's the last time that we saw a Tennessee team grind out an ugly victory against a quality opponent? You've got to go back to 2007, 2006 to look at that. I don't give a damn if Milton would have had 0 passing yards. We won the game. We won. We're 5-1, and people are bitching about the quarterback play when every other position group outside of the receivers had at least an A game. What are we doing, Nice?
So,
what are we doing?
I'll get my thoughts out of the way. I'll be honest. Did Milton play good football yesterday? No.
No, he didn't.
In the passing game, he didn't. I've went back this afternoon. I hadn't got to really watch a whole lot of it, but I went back and watched the first quarter. He's always late on throws. It's like the dude's making the right reads. He just can't get the football where it needs to be. And then he makes a dumb throw to the end zone with double coverage. Guys bracketed above him and in front of him. Like, how do you not see that? But then he makes some good runs. He'll make a pass on third down to get a first down. Like, dude's got the talent. He's got the physical abilities. He just had something between his head. He just can't do it. But did he play well? Absolutely not. Is there a better option on the team? I don't know. I trust Heupel on this. All I know is for the last 2 years, Tennessee's offense has bailed out Tennessee's defense. And now it's the other way around. And it's like that moron Vols Picks on Twitter said the only reason Tennessee won was because of their defensive line. So what? So what? They won. We're 5-1. We're going to Alabama with everything in front of us. Alabama's a 9-point favorite. So what? We're 5-1. We won. Are there some issues on this team? Absolutely. But it reminded me, I think I told you this after the game, Harb. It reminded me of the 2002 Arkansas game when we won in 6 overtimes. I come back to the car and everybody's bitching about how it took us 6 overtimes to beat an unranked Arkansas team. But that was back in 2002. I mean, we're coming off a SEC East title in 01, blew out Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Expectations were up here, and we're scraping by Arkansas. So it's kind of like that yesterday a little bit, but this team, we're not in rebuilding mode, but it's a different year than last year, and people need to understand that. There's going to be some point where Milton's going to have to win a game. I don't know. I hope it's not this weekend, but I just don't know if he can. I just don't think he can. But he was not great yesterday. But they found a way to win because they can run the football and they played really good defense, especially that front four. What do you think, Brett?
I caught myself. I was one of those. I wasn't upset after the game I mean, I'll take an ugly SEC win against what I think's probably better than a 4-3 Texas A&M team. I think they kind of laid an egg in that Miami game earlier this year, but it was ugly football. SEC win. I mean, you show up next Saturday and hope you can build on a few things. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. Do we win those kind of games in the past? Absolutely not. So, I mean, that's kind of cool to see. I mean, most of the time, the ugly wins we win the last 10 years, or 35, 33 games. It was good to win a 2013 game. It was good to see a defensive front on air side with the orange and white actually dominate the game. Now, was Joe Milton good? No, far from him. Nishi, I mean, you hit it on the head. He makes the right reads, but I don't know if he's just wanting to place the ball and catch the ball for him or if he's just a half a second late. But, I mean, Keaton missed a couple of balls that probably changed the outlook on his. I mean, it probably adds that they were going to be run after catch throws. So, it was ugly in the passing game. I mean, I've just now pulled up the stats about 3 minutes before we got on the air. He's 11 for 22, 100 yards.
Yeah,
and we won.
Not great.
I mean, you go back to the drawing board and you take a win in the SEC and you try to build on it. I don't know what else to say. I guess their number one receiver didn't even have a catch. I didn't even remember that. I guess Keaton you would consider our number one receiver right now?
Him or Squirrel White?
Well, Squirrel White, okay, his stats, 3 catches for 29 yards.
Ramel Keaton had 0 catches, 0 yards. He really should have. I don't know how far that one was. That dude's got the yips right now, or he just sucks all of a sudden. I don't know. Isn't that the third one that he's dropped this year? Like sure touchdown pass, like walk in to the end zone.
Hey, it's at least 2 that I can think of, and he's had a couple that's been like, if he catches it, good gosh, how long is he going to run after he catches it?
Yeah.
looks down after like, holy cow. But it's
Um,
sort of frustrating seeing those over and over.
Max Johnson for Texas A&M wasn't much better. 16 of 34, 223, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns.
Yeah. Joe Milton's interception was ugly.
Yes.
I mean, that safety literally took 4 steps back, and Joe Milton hit him between the numbers.
So I was in the skybox yesterday, and when that play took off, I was looking at the secondary, and when I saw that safety back there and then the man underneath, I went back to the quarterback, and then I saw him throwing it, and I was like, is he throwing to that guy?
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna look up and he was gonna be dumping it off over to the left side. But he didn't. He threw it over the middle right to the guy. So I don't know what he saw there. I really don't.
Commentators were pretty puzzled on that play. But like Harb said, I mean, at the end of the day, we won the game. If we would have lost the game, I'd have done a lot more bitching about the quarterback play. I promise you that.
Harbin, I'll let you comment on this one. I don't know if we talked about it after the game. I was reading this morning. Heupel said it too, that he made poor decisions himself. I think he did, and he got away with it. And sometimes I guess that happens. You make a bad decision in a game and it ends up working out. I guess he's living right, but he didn't kick a field goal early in the first quarter. Went for it, they didn't get it. He basically said there's a lot that goes into those decisions on 4th down, and I didn't get any of them right, is basically what he said. I didn't look to see what Tennessee was.
I didn't pull that up either.
4th down conversions, Tennessee was 0 of 2. And on 3rd down, Tennessee was 7 of 15. So just under 50%. So that's not terrible. But yeah, I didn't think that was one of Heupel's better coached games. I mean, it wasn't awful. I mean, it didn't cost him the game. It could have, but I don't know. I think he's really, especially from a play call standpoint right now, I feel like he's calling plays with one arm tied behind his back.
That's what more frustrates me than the quarterback play is, man, at some points it seems like we just don't call the plays like we think we have the quarterback to make the play. I mean, we're so unsure of him. That's the frustrating part about it.
Yeah, I think it's unsureness. They don't trust him.
Yeah.
They don't want to put him in a bad spot unless they just have to, but sometimes you got to.
And we kind of didn't have to Saturday, which is a beautiful thing for our defense. So we won the game. Move on.
What was your overall thoughts about the game besides people being upset with Milton's play, Harbin?
Which I need to get this out up front. I don't think Milton had a spectacular game. A lot of people are going to think that I think that. It didn't play well, and that's fine. And if we'd have lost, all the criticism in the world should be deserved of it. But we did enough everywhere else, and it just feels like people aren't happy with the fact that we won a game with our defense and special teams because we're not used to it under Josh Heupel. The run game was phenomenal. I think that needs to be the main focal point of what everybody's talking about. Going into the game, Texas A&M had the number 1 rush defense in the SEC, and we ran for 232 yards on them. 232 on the number 1 rush defense in the SEC. That is the elite of the elite numbers. We ran for nearly 5 yards a carry. We do that on Bama next week, we're going to win. That's just how it is. And let's look at Texas A&M stats. Max Johnson, I understand he's a backup quarterback, but he was their starter all year last year. We held him to under 50% completion percentage. He got 223 yards, but he didn't capitalize. He had no touchdowns, 2 picks. We came up big when we needed it. I'm 99% sure both picks were in the fourth quarter, at least the second half, at least. Their rushing stats: 28 carries for 54 yards. That's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1.9 yards per carry.
that ain't good.
I mean, 232 versus 54. You're going to win that game 95 to 99 times out of 100 if you play it 100 times. I want to give two public apologies. One is to the front seven. I dogged their ass after the Florida loss. We got whipped up front, and I was very critical of them. Ever since then, they have responded and responded with a vengeance. It feels like Pierce can't be blocked. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what it feels like to me. He's an absolute animal. Front seven played elite. And my second one, this is controversial. I'm going to formally apologize to Kamal Hadden.
Okay.
The reason it's controversial is because my criticism of him was never in his coverage. It was in his tackling ability and decision making on the run / when a throw's already been made. After everybody got on his ass, he's played absolutely lights out. I mean, I'm going to give him his flowers. He played a great game last night. He played a great game against South Carolina. He's got in the last two games. Hats off to you. I apologize. Overall, I think outside of quarterback and wide receiver play, I think every position group for the most part deserves at least an A- rating. Very seriously. We had a couple bonehead O-line plays, but didn't really matter. Milton made a couple questionable decisions. Heffrey ran out of bounds on a free play. I know it's the biggest one everybody wants to talk about. That one pissed me off.
Yeah.
Feels like, I mean, he's biggest, most athletic guy on the field 99% of the time he steps out there. And it feels like he's afraid to get hit. That's one of my biggest things with him. But finally ran over A&M's best defender and literally knocked him out. And then the very next play, he throws it straight to the safety. I'll chalk that up as an emotion play. I feel like he was riding hot and he felt like he could thread the needle. Obviously, he didn't. But guys, Hendon Hooker was an anomaly. You're not going to have a season where your quarterback only throws 2 interceptions every single year. I mean, we need to get over that thought process. And also side by side thinking about that. Heupel, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times. This coaching staff doesn't trust Milton with full playbook. And if we're going to lose, I want us to go down guns blazing. I don't want us to lose throwing screen passes and running up the gut. Like, go down firing it because he can. But if we run the ball like we did, we don't have to.
No.
We truly don't. I mean, let's look at it. Jalen Wright, 19 carries, 136 yards, 7 yards a carry. Dog. Jabari Small, 12 for 42. A lot of those carries, though, were after big plays, and we just kind of ran up the middle for no gain. Dylan Sampson's stats are the ones that surprised me the most because it felt like the offense flowed really well while he was in the game for a substantial amount of time. He only had 9 carries for 25 yards and 1 catch for 9 yards, but it felt like he was so much more impactful than 34 yards of total offense.
Here's the thing about him, though, is it seemed like when they ran him, it was between the tackles. And I think that guy is somebody that needs to be outside the tackles. And we didn't see a lot of that. I wish they'd try to find a way to get him involved in the passing game a little more. And there was one, which this is on Milton, because I could see it from where I was at. He tried to fit a pass probably 30, 40 yards down the field into double coverage when he had Dylan Sampson leaking out of the backfield wide open. Some in the box said it would have been a 20-yard gain. I don't know. It may have been 5 or 10, but that would have been better than an incomplete pass. But I don't know. Can they not get him like with some end arounds or get D. Williams out there, who we'll talk about in a minute, on some end arounds? I feel like they're just not opening up the playbook very much. They're just kind of vanilla. I mean, it's fine because they're, you run the ball for 4.7 yards a carry. Do you really need to be anything but that? If it's working, I don't think so.
I agree. I also think a bigger thing about Sampson's stats is anytime he was in the backfield, A&M almost knew we were going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So they were ready for it, and I think that's why his stats look the way they do. But overall, like just looking at the whole thing together, I give this game a B plus. I think that's a fair rating for this game. A&M is, I mean, we talked about this in preview show. A&M is weird. Neither one of us knew what was going to happen in this game. And leading up to kickoff, I had no idea what was going to happen. But we grinded it out. We found a way, and we got a big SEC win. We're 5-1 headed into Bama. And I'm not bitching.
Oh no, I thought it would be a tight game. I didn't necessarily think it'd be 20-13 with A&M with the ball and trying to drive down the field to tie it up or potentially win it. But it was a little more low scoring than I thought. But I got a couple things here. I wrote down some stuff. Good and the bad. Good. Tennessee's rushing attack. 4.7 yards per carry. A&M came into the game 9th in the country, 1st in the SEC in rushing defense. Tennessee's front four, they're pretty much, I guess you could say they're elite. We only had 2 sacks yesterday, but they had 19 quarterback pressures.
I think
11 quarterback knockdowns. Max Johnson was limping all over the place, grass stains all over his jersey. And we affected the reason his passing stats were as poor as they were is because he had people in his face all the time. But those 2 things to me were the big things. And obviously our defense, I mean, they played outstanding, but a lot of that is attributed to the pressure that the front four is putting on. My bad, this is going to come back, and it did at Florida. This is going to come back to kill Tennessee. Maybe not this weekend. I hope not. But at some point, 12 penalties for 115 yards. They got to stop with the penalties, and a lot of them are on the offensive line. That's way too many penalties. They play like that on the road, they will lose a football game. They got away with it yesterday. You could look at this game. Tennessee wins 20-13. They really could have won by a lot more than they did. I mean, they left 6 points on the field by not kicking field goals. They had drives killed because of penalties. They were the better football team, I felt like, yesterday, but the mistakes are just killing them right now. But they found a way to win. How can you be too upset with it? I mean, you can't. I mean, you can and you can't, right, Hardin?
Yeah, I mean, we can bitch about it all we want, but at the end of the day, we won. I mean,
like you said, the thing is, we won. It's cool to win games like that because we're used to, in years past, we haven't won games like that. But it's also, I think, the fans that complain and do those things realize that we get against a team that's a little bit better than that. Those are the things that we got to clean up. But we didn't have to Saturday. We won the game. So.
What it's like I told Griff, and I don't mean to air out Griff like this. Griff's a good buddy.
Yeah.
I think Griff knows what he's talking about most. However, I looked at him and I said, man, be happy tonight, talking about Saturday night. Be happy. Celebrate. I said, criticize on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, watch the Josh Heupel show on Sunday morning.
Right. Yeah. Like right pros and cons sheet like Nice did on Sunday, and then talk about it. Saturday night is for celebrating. We won. And like I said, it was the first time in at least 15 to 17 years that we grinded out an ugly win against an SEC opponent, not named Vanderbilt or probably Kentucky when they had a bad team. Like that was a huge win for us last night, and I don't give a shit if it would have been 3-0. Like Frank Beamer with his hands up in the air when it was 0-0 into overtime. I don't care. We won. I'm happy. Let's move on, and I'll bitch about it in the week to come going into Bama.
Well,
That
I was
yeah.
Yeah, I was telling the people over here that I had over here at the house watching the game, man, before going into the game, that was a huge game for both programs. I mean, if we happen to lose that game and going into our next stretch, 5 games? I mean, who knows how that's going to go. And now they've lost, and I think I remember looking at their schedule before the game, and they still have to go at Ole Miss and maybe at LSU still. So, I mean, they've already got 3 losses. So, who knows? Jimbo could be on the hot seat quick. That was a big game for both programs.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you look at Tennessee's schedule coming up on the road at Alabama and Kentucky, at home versus UConn. So that's a pretty much guaranteed win. And then you're back on the road at Missouri. So their next 3 SEC games are on the road, and then you come back home to Georgia. And none of these games coming up, Alabama, we all know what they're like. I think that's not a toss-up game. I think Tennessee can beat them, but Alabama's favored, and everything says they should win. But we can go down there and beat them. Kentucky, probably a little more beatable than they were predicted to be, but it's still going to be at Lexington, probably going to be a night game. Missouri's going to be tough. They've only got 1 loss right now. They're playing really well. Then you come back home. Georgia is Georgia. Tennessee could easily go 1-4 its next 5 games, even after winning this game. That's why it was such a huge game yesterday and a huge win for Tennessee.
Huge, man. Huge game.
I think the thing that I loved about Saturday was the offense wasn't clicking. We had penalties. I'm not one to bitch about referees, but we had a couple of questionable calls that did not go in our favor. We figured it the hell out in the middle.
Yeah.
And we figured it out in ways that we haven't before under this leadership. Like last year, we won 11 games. I mean, there was not much bitching outside the South Carolina game. But we were begging for our front 7, for our defense to step up and help out the offense, And now we finally have that. Obviously, the offense has taken a step or 2 back, but our defense has taken, in my opinion, 3 steps forward. And I think it has a lot to do with Coach Heupel and staff addressing needs, I think is a good way to put it. And hiring Coach Garner back is the best move Josh Heupel's made, personal opinion. He's huge for this program. He's going to go down as a Tennessee legend. He already is, but he's definitely going to go down as one. He was a huge get for this program. But yeah, I mean, moral of the story, we're so used to putting up 45 a game. Man, we grinded one out and put up 20 with 1 offensive touchdown. A lot of people are going to think like, man, that was ugly. Like, I thought that was beautiful. The way the defense and the special teams played. And if our rushing attacks like that, it don't matter if Milton throws for 150 or 400, man. Like, I loved what I saw from the majority of the football team yesterday.
And between the 3 of us, we hadn't brought it up. We found a special teams touchdown. When's UT do that in the last 15 years? D. Williams getting that touchdown. I mean, that was a game changer.
D. Williams, he's been on the cusp of doing that, and he finally did it. I'm telling you, the East Skybox 522 was electric when that happened, and you could see when he made that cut, that second cut, you knew he was going to score at that point because you could see the field just open up over there to that right side. But yeah, that dude, it's been that close, and it was set up perfect. The punt in the end zone. I mean, he 39 yards. Yes, Harbin, you have your hand raised.
I've got a hot take.
Okay.
I think D. Williams is just as good of a return man as Evan Berry. He just don't get as many opportunities to run back because of the changes in the kicking rules, like kickoff and stuff. Obviously, he gets punt return opportunities, but that man is electrifying. Even on plays that he don't run it back, like he's electrifying, and he's slippery. I think he's incredible, and I'm glad that he's on the roster. I think
Remember the LSU, the punt return last year at LSU? Almost took it to the house.
Right.
But yeah, that dude is. They gotta find a way to get the ball in his hands on offense somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what they need to do, but something.
I agree. Is he not listed as a DB?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you got to find a way to get that man on the field outside of 2% of the game.
Like niche, like you said, I mean, even watching it on TV, I would say I love watching plays like that when it just opens up and you see it happening before it happens. Even on TV, you could tell by his reaction after he got past that first wave, he knew he was gone.
I knew when the punt was in the air. I don't know what it was. Like that punt was in the air and it didn't go anywhere. And you look down, you're watching the ball and then you look down and see, it just like, I looked at Doty sitting next to me. And I said, watch out. And that's all I said. And here we go. I mean, it just, that second cut, it was electrifying.
So this is funny. My buddy I was sitting with before he punted, he was like, man, we got him pinned. Like, let's get it inside the 30, set us up, which good way of looking at it. Well, there's this Hispanic guy, a little younger than me. He was sitting behind me. And I looked at him and I said, if we run this back, I'm Ric Flair chopping you until my arm gets tired. I said, okay, that's fine. Well, he ran it back and I turned back and I chopped him like 5 times. And after like the 5th or 6th one, he looked at me and he said, all right, that's enough. And I said, no. I said, you get 2 more. And I gave him 2 more. It was the best thing of all time.
So we'll roll right in here to next week. The Vols are now 5-1, 2-1 in the SEC. Now we're on to the third Saturday in October. Number 11, Alabama. The Vols will roll into Tuscaloosa, 3:30 Eastern time on CBS. Brad and Gary on the call. Couple of goobers on the call there for CBS. But what are we thinking about the game this Saturday? Bama's a 9-point favorite. Harbin, you're our resident gambling expert. What do you think about that line? You and I talked. I think it was it after the game yesterday? We both kind of mentioned between the 5 to 7 or 8 point range. I thought 9. It was a little surprised when I saw it at 9. But what do you think?
From a non-biased gambler standpoint, when the line seems like it's too high, it's normally not. So that scares me a little bit. But also you got to put your Vegas cap on and think about these things. The line this past week in the A&M game felt a little too low in my honest opinion. It was at 2.5. I felt like it should have been 6.5. And we won by 7. So they were banking on us may or may not be able to run the ball on A&M's defense. What Vegas is banking on is us not being able to throw the ball down there and not being able to contain Milroe when he gets out of the pocket. If you handle both of those 2 things, I think we win the ball game. If we don't, we lose by double digits. That's how these things work. I don't think the line will be in question either way this game goes. We are either gonna lose by 2 touchdowns, like Ole Miss did, or we're gonna go down there and win straight up. And it's based on roughly 3 things. On the defensive side, we're going to get pressure on Milrow, but it's a fact if we can contain him from
outdoor
making
space is great, but
from
we
making
do have invasive.
Jesus Christ was
What is that?
throw me off.
We got somebody
My bad.
hacking into the podcast.
Jeez.
No, my computer just all of a sudden the audio started working. I don't know what was on there.
Now, if we can contain Milrow's scrambling and designed runs, if we can run the ball on them and get a little bit in the pass game going, if we execute all 3 of those things, we've got a winning streak against Alabama. I believe it's a toss-up if we get 2 out of those 3. If we only get 1 out of the 3, it might be a long day. Just to be honest with you. But I'm fairly confident going into this game. I may be in the minority. And I'm praying to the good Lord above that Joe Milton has a career game just so I can come back with arrows. I mean, I'll pull him back. I'll pull him out of this bag back here and I'll lot him out. I've got names. I've got Twitter tags. I've got email addresses, phone numbers. It don't matter. I will come at you with a vengeance. But hell, I mean, if he has 37 passing yards and we win, I will take it right now. You need to give me 5 or 10 minutes before I can make a prediction for this game?
Sure. We'll go to Brett and get his opinions on what should we look for in this game coming up.
I think the keys are going to be like Harb said. I mean, they are. If I don't know, you both of you all went to the game Saturday, so you all didn't get to watch Arkansas and Alabama, did you?
No.
Man, watching the first half, I was worried. I was like, oh, Lord. I mean, Alabama's offense was rolling, but for whatever reason, whatever they did in the halftime, and they came out flat, and Arkansas came back and beat them. The key is going to be containing Milrose, keep him in the pocket, not letting him extend plays. It looks like he's getting more comfortable doing that. I think our defensive line is good enough to get after him. And like I said, I think the key is going to be try to keep him in the tackle box. If we can make him throw from the pocket, I'm not that worried about it. We're going to have to establish the run, which we've been able to do all year. We're going to have to hit some passes to be able to win this game Saturday. I mean, we're going to have to get more out of the passing game, I think, than we did against A&M. Going to have to get a play made by a receiver. I mean, our running back room all year has been pretty dominant in every win. Like, let's just erase that egg we laid against Florida. But that's my key to the game. I think it's going to be a last. I think, like, it goes back to what Harb said. I think it could easily be if we get down and things start snowballing, I think it could be a long day for us. But also, I think my number one key to the game for us to get a victory is we have to get out of the gates. I think Heupel's offense and just this offense in general, especially with Milton leading the charge, I have so much more confidence if we can get up 7-0 early. I think that's the key to the game. I think if we can get out to the gates and kind of put a little pressure on them at their place, let's see what happens. Maybe Joe hits a big play. Next thing you know, we're up 14-3 or something, but I think that's the key to the game is we got to get out of the gates on offense. We got to get rolling.
So I looked this up before we recorded. I don't know. I'm not to the point of predicting the game just yet, but
yeah.
Tennessee, we talked about it earlier. with the quarterback pressures. I mean, they were all up in Max Johnson's face yesterday. Here is the sack totals that Alabama has given up in their last 3 SEC games. Ole Miss 7, A&M, Texas A&M 6, Arkansas 4. By my math, that is 17 sacks in 3 games that they've given up. If I added that correctly, if I looked at the stats correctly, because when I first looked at it, I was like, holy cow, 7 sacks? That's incredible. How did they win that game, giving up 7 sacks? But Tennessee's front 4 has been playing lights out recently. If Alabama's offensive line plays like that, James Pierce and company are going to feast on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Will it be enough to win the game? I don't know. But Alabama, for the first time in a long time, has a lot of flaws. Me and my uncle were talking last night. He crashed here at the house. He said Alabama is ripe for the picking right now because they're still good. They're still Alabama. I think Milroe has kind of settled in as the quarterback for that team. They're not going to make any more changes. They really can't, but they're not unbeatable like you used to look at them like, oh God, there's no way we win this game. Even though they're favored by 9, I don't know, for some reason, I've got this strange confidence going down there. I'm not saying that we'll win. But I don't know. I'm usually, you can kind of get a feel for a game, and I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, this feels different going down there this year. Last time I went down there was 2019. Obviously, that was Pruitt. I did not feel any confidence at all that Tennessee would win that game. Shockingly, we competed. I had a chance to be down 8 until JG decided to go rogue and fumbled the football at the goal line, and Bama took it to the house. The only time I've been down there before that Tennessee's had a legit chance to win was 2015. We were up 20-14 or 19-14 and Bama had to go down and score with like 2 or 3 minutes left, and then we turned the ball over on our last possession. But I don't know. That's my stat to watch, is the offensive line and our defensive line.
Either one of you two making that trip?
As of right now, I am planning on going. It's about 90% sure that I'm going.
About you, Harp?
No, your brother screwed me out of that one. So.
Blame it on a Stanton. Always easy to do.
Oh, no, it's easy because that's how it always works. I'm just teasing.
The easy way out. Blame
Stanton. There was talks of me going, and those died, especially with me going down to Gainesville. I've fully recovered, and also mowing 3 of my last 3 road trips. So, for the sake of the program, I'm going to watch this thing in Knoxville.
Well, bet us to cover. I think you'll make a little money back this week.
Let me tell you about my trips to Alabama. So my very first Alabama game was 2005. Tennessee and Alabama's tied 3-3 in an epic offensive struggle. Three plays punt on both sides. Tennessee, under Rick Clausen, runs a beautiful fullback screen, not a running back screen, fullback screen to Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson has nothing but green grass in front of him. And somehow, I don't know where this guy came from, Alabama defender punches the ball out from behind, and it shoots through the back of the end zone. Next possession, Brody Croyle, I think, was the quarterback, throws a bomb, and they kick a field goal and win it 6-3. Let's see. I went down in 2009. That was when Daniel Lincoln kicked it into the stomach of Mount Cody. We had a chance to beat number 1 Bama at home, and we lost 10-9. Let's see. I went in.
That was during their Invincible run too.
Yeah. I went in
12 to 10.
12 to 10. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. 12 to 10. I went in 13, 15, and 19. So Haven't been back since, but should be down there this weekend, hoping to reverse my fortunes.
I expect you to bring the dub home.
I'll try, and I know Landry and I think Undy will be down there, so try to hook up with them pregame or postgame.
Just win the damn game.
JWTDG, those stickers are still undefeated, Harbin.
Wait,
where's yours at? Tell them about so my uncle said those stickers are like cockroaches. You can't kill them. We show up to the tailgate yesterday, and Harbin said, "Look at that. I think that's my sticker from 2 weeks ago." There is a JWTDG sticker laying in the grass from we hadn't gotten anything out. It was in the grass from the South Carolina game 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna go by there. I'm gonna go by there later this week and see if it's still laying on the ground. See how long it stays there.
I haven't taken these stickers off since South Carolina, and they will remain here until they are deemed no longer useful. Because and just for double luck, I put one of each on my shirt for the game. And guess what? Different shirt. I looked down middle of the game. JWDG sticker had fallen off. The YY8 sticker was still on there. But I had these up here.
That's all that matters.
All that matters.
All that matters. Well, my uncle's got he's ordered a new batch of them, so I'll try to pick up some. We don't have a home game until UConn. That probably doesn't really count. We'll have a new batch of them for the Georgia game in a few weeks. So
hey, I've got a comment that my phone's going off like crazy, and I finally see what it was. I've been told explicitly to tell Harbin that Blake Talley needs his 9-iron back.
All right, and I got 2 responses to that. Number one, never once did I ask Blake Talley for his 9-iron, nor anybody for a 9-iron. I've played 2 years. Nathan Neese can attest to this. I've played 2 years without a 9-iron. I've gotten used to it. If it ain't a pitching wedge, by God, it's a grip down 8-iron. Got used to it. Second,
that is true. That is true.
I was explicitly told, and Nick Bain was explicitly told, that Nick Bain was supposed to get the 9-iron afterwards. And Bain had him a couple chocolate milks and forgot about it. And
unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
This is unbelievable.
So it's blame it on Bain.
Blame it on Bain.
Hey, Brett, listen to this. He's blamed me for not recording a podcast. He's blamed the Stantons for not going to Bama. Now he's blaming Bain for his not giving Talley his 9-iron back.
Unbelievable. 2023, man.
Unbelievable.
Well, you know, Harbin ain't going to catch blame.
Of course not.
Harbin will not catch blame. All right, we're going to, hey, let's circle back.
Okay. I knew that was a little premature on that comment about the 9-iron.
Pick the game. Pick Tennessee and Bama. Who you got, Harbin?
No. I'm leading the show now.
Okay.
Yeah. Brett's going first, and then
I'll go first.
Because I hope Neese picks the way that I think he's going to, and then I'll count him.
I'll go first. Like I said, I think the key will be how we contain Jalen Milroe, and I haven't seen anything as a UT fan to think that we're not going to do a pretty good job of that. So I think we keep him in the pocket. I think it comes down to whether we can make a couple of plays in the passing game. I'd say it comes down to the last drive. Are we making like score predictions or just who wins? Score prediction, I'll say I've got us a 27-24. I think Joe Milton makes a big play at the end of the game and starts to win over some of these so-called, I don't know if naysayers or that don't want to be on board yet. I mean, the man's 5-1 at this point. I think he goes down to Alabama and comes back 6-1. 27-24, I think is what I said. Vols.
-1.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think this game is a very tight game, back and forth. But I don't know that Tennessee's got it in them to win this game. I think Bama wins this game. In a tight one, back and forth. From what I saw at Florida a few weeks ago, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't trust this team on the road right now. I'll take Bama in a tight one. Vols cover, though. They do cover the 9-point spread. Is that what you thought I would say?
Yep. I promise you, that's what Hard thought.
That is exactly what it needs. So I'm about to go on a little rant, and I'm going to need some crowd participation.
What?
I'm getting there. So, as you know, I'm not going down to Tuscaloosa.
What?
We're getting there.
Okay.
More than likely, I'm going to end up at Zach Slagle's house watching the game. And before I go, I'm going to get me a case of Natural Light,
What?
a lighter,
What?
a couple cigars,
What?
maybe a bottle of whiskey,
What?
maybe pick up some brats because they ain't got enough meat.
What?
I'm going to watch Joe Milton. What?
What?
Doing right. What? Dylan Sampson. What? Run all over the Crimson Tide. What? And if you feel me, can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Damn, hippie.
What's the score, Hard?
Hey, I love Roll Tide Willie. Okay? Roll Tide Willie is one of my favorite people. He said he don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. I say piss on the Tide.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Vols.
We're going to run it all over him. Joe Milton's going to make some plays. He's going to shut a lot of people up, and they're going to act like they were with him since day one. I've got receipts. It shows how many fuel visits I have on the receipts. Our front four is going to get after Milroe. Our linebackers are going to contain him. Boys, we're not going to shock the world because we beat Alabama 2 times in a row. We're going to shock them with how dominant it is inside Bryant-Denny. Vols, 31-21, but it's not that close.
Love it.
Now, I said it before the season started back in early August. Pull up the clip if you need to. I said if Jalen Milroe is the starting quarterback of this Alabama team, I'm not scared of him.
You
And that
did.
has changed on October 15th. I'm not scared of Alabama. They're not the Alabama of previous. They don't have Bryce Young. They don't have Derrick Henry. They don't have Will Anderson. Their O-line is not what it used to be.
What?
What? We're going to go down there. We're going to wreak havoc in the backfield. We're going to get the run game going. It's going to open things up for Joe. We're going to go down there and prove that Florida game was a fluke and that we're here to stay as a program. Vols win 31-21, and I may get lung cancer from how many cigars I smoked Saturday night. What? Come on! Army up!
Let's go.
Damn.
What'd you say, E.T.? What?
I said I need me a double cheeseburger.
And a large fry.
And a large fry, a little ketchup and mustard. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Stone Cold E.T. on YouTube. Classic video.
Oh,
I won't
man,
say
what's
anything
that?
else. Just look it up. It's great.
Yeah.
Chad Grubb showed me that years ago. It's a can't miss. I do want to say, if this game was in Neyland, I would definitely pick Tennessee. Just let that be known. I'm only picking Alabama because it's on the road, and I don't trust us.
Now, I do need to say, our last 4 road games. Well, I'm throwing Vandy out, so technically our last 3 road games, we've laid eggs.
Yeah.
I'm getting real with y'all. I mean, I had my fun for a couple minutes. I'm getting real with y'all. We've got to be able to run the ball on the road. I mean, we went down to Gainesville and they stopped us and they ran it all over us. Our line has to be able to travel on both sides of the ball. If we don't run the ball and we don't get a whole lot of pressure, I'm not saying we get boat raced, but the game could not be in jeopardy in the second half. Now, we have to control the line of scrimmage, and I think if we do, I truly believe that we win in convincing fashion. If we don't control it, Alabama wins in convincing fashion. That's the moral of the story here. It's like I said before, we predicted. We have to be able to run the ball. We have to be able to contain Milroe after we get pressure on him. And we've got to make a couple throws, like Brett said. But I have confidence that those three things happen, and that's why I'm picking the Vols to win this game.
I got another question. Was Thornton healthy this Saturday? Did he not play?
Believe he was out there. I just don't think he did anything. He was like the rest of the wide receivers.
Yeah. I was just curious. I never located him, but I didn't look for him that hard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was out there. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he was. By the way, on the day that we're recording this is the 1-year anniversary of us beating Alabama last year for the first time since 2006. There's a thread on Twitter. Where'd it go? It's Fox Sports Knoxville. And they were asking for your favorite memory pick video from that night. And the thread is absolutely incredible. So just seeing people's pictures they're posting from that night. I don't think I slept that night. I think it was probably I remember going to the Waffle House, but we stayed at the parking lot for like 2 or 3 hours after the game because we stayed in the stadium for an hour. We went to Waffle House for an hour or two and then came back home. I finally went to bed, but it was late. It was really late. It was probably 2 or 3 in the morning. And I had Alabama boys staying with me, so some Alabama college boys. So they took it. They took it well. They were good sports about it, but I think I'll be hanging out with them this weekend, hopefully, if I go down. But that was crazy. That's already been 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Great nights of Tennessee football.
Wonderful night.
Haters and losers. Who you guys got?
Who wants to lead us off? I'll let us off on predictions. Niche, you want to start us off? I'll go second, and then Harb, or who wants to?
I'll
you're
go.
leading the show. Who's going first?
I'll go first. I think we had another tie again, by the way, between me and Harb on our last one. I'd have to look it up. I didn't think about that until we started recording here, but I'm pretty sure there was a tie. But that's been so long ago, I don't even remember who we picked that week. So whatever. I'm going with Mario Cristobal, head coach Miami Hurricanes. He led his Hurricanes to a loss against a not very good Georgia Tech team a couple of weeks ago. And he inexplicably told his team not to take a knee. They're running the football. Georgia Tech has no timeouts left. There's no way they can stop the clock if they take a knee. And Miami runs the football. They fumble it. Georgia Tech scores 2 plays later and knock Miami from the ranks of the undefeated. And then Miami goes up this weekend and loses to North Carolina pretty convincingly. But that's my hater and loser of the week is Mario Cristobal. How in the world you get paid $8 million a year to make that decision just blows my mind. Us three could make that call from the stands, and we don't get paid anything. We're paying money to be there. And the sad thing is when he was at Oregon, he did this before in a game against Stanford several years ago. So, I mean, he kind of owned up to it after the game, but yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That's almost a fireable offense, to be honest. You can't lose games like that. You just, as a head coach, and you're demanding that much money, you just can't do that. You just cannot do that. I, I don't want to go that far, but I would almost say a high school coach shouldn't do that. I mean, if you're a head coach, you gotta have better sense of the clock than that. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why somebody wasn't in his ear. Why didn't the players look at the clock and say, "What are we doing here? Let's just take a knee. Let's hijack the system like Riggs and Saracen did in Friday Night Lights and run a different play than Coach Taylor called in." But, but I don't know. That's my hater and loser of the week, Mario Cristobal. We'll go with Brett. Who you got?
That's sad when you're asking your quarterback to have to go rogue and knee the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine coming to a little league game and me being out there in my little league team running the ball, what my dad would do in the stands?
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious, that's a good nomination. And I don't know if y'all got a chance, y'all being at the game, if y'all got home in time to watch Oregon and Washington's game. Or no, it was at the same time. It was at 3:30.
Yeah. I saw the end in the skybox, but yes.
Their coach, I mean, what was he doing? He goes for it on fourth. I think it was 4th and 3 or 4th and 4 at the 45 with less than a minute to go, up by a touchdown. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Think so, yeah.
No, they were up by 4 because Washington got the ball back and scored, and then Oregon ended up missing. But yeah, coaching, man, what in the world went on? My hater and loser. Sorry, I got on a little tangent there.
Oh, you're good.
My hater and loser of the week would have to be Colorado. I am so sick and tired of hearing about Colorado football, Deion Sanders, like they were going to get in a college football playoff. I mean, well, they lost to Stanford. I think Stanford had one win going into that game, and
they were 1-4.
Schedule. I mean, I know that win wasn't a juggernaut win. I mean, I know they hadn't played juggernauts out there. So that would be my hater and losers. I was so sick and tired of them leading off ESPN, College Game Day, going there. What are they going to go there next time when they play Oregon State? What are they? I mean, well, they're 4-3 right now, and they have it. I hope they snowball. Good gracious, I hope they snowball. They like forced that down America's throat enough to where you almost had to dislike it because they were nowhere near as good as they were hyping them up to be. So my hater and loser, and I'm glad they're in the position they're in, and I hope it gets worse because they still got to play. Well, they play Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah is their next 4. So I hope they go 0-4.
Very good nominee. Who you got, Harbin?
By the way, boys, I've got to let y'all know this. I've been a fraud. I've been getting my information off the TV and the Twitter machine. I've been in a coma the last 3 weeks. Surely God, the best offense in baseball and the Atlanta Braves organization is in the NLCS, right? They're playing the Dodgers, no?
No, the Diamondbacks and the Phillies are playing. What?
Did Rob Manfred add an elimination round for third place in the conference? No?
What?
Oh, I had no idea. All year, I mean, might as well. The Braves were going to win 2 out of 3. They had best offense in baseball. They had this, they had that. And guess what? Division rival Phillies beat that ass. If you can't do that, you are a hater and a loser.
What about Bryce? What about Bryce Harper staring down Arcia as he rounded second?
Man, I don't watch a
God.
whole lot of baseball, but I watched a lot of that series, man. I became a Bryce Harper fan. I mean, I kind of liked him from afar, but that's the most I'd watched him. It was everybody got on to him for that base running, and if the Braves guy don't make that catch at the wall, and he ends up scoring and tying the game from first, everybody's, oh man, great base running, way to be so aggressive, and then everybody got on his ass, and then he cranked two the next game. Oh, it was awesome.
But niece, Bryce Harper wasn't supposed to hear it. It was clubhouse talk. He wasn't supposed to hear it. But guess what? He did. And he showed up and he showed out like he has been ever since he's been a Philly.
Let me just say this. I'm not commenting on the Atlanta Braves. I'm not saying a word. Just let it be known to those who listen to this show that I have in the past said things about the Braves. I'm not saying a word. I just wanted it to be on record because I keep telling an individual that I'm not saying anything about it, and he keeps calling me a troll. I'm not going to bring up his name on here, but y'all can probably deduct who it is.
Hey.
No comment.
I've probably got his sister back here in the background mad that was Harb's hater and loser.
No, it's not. It's not Griff. We've already hated on Griff enough.
Oh,
It's another
okay.
Braves fan.
She's back here shaking her head. She's upset at Harb right now.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm going to stay off. But Ronald Acuna Jr., who is 100% going to win NL MVP, and it's very deserved. Hell of a player. I like it. But my man hit 143 against a division rival in the division series. You're never going to win when your best player gets 3 hits and 17 at-bats. You're not going to. Nobody showed up outside of Austin Riley.
Yeah, I was going to say Riley.
Austin
Two
Riley.
of Acuna's hits were late in trash time too, by the way.
Well, he only had 3, so do the math.
Yeah.
The offense went flat. Pitching really wasn't that bad, just to be honest with you. Outside of
No.
I saw a tweet. This best tweet of all time. If you're not up with the joke, go look it up. I don't have time to explain it. It said Nick Castellanos in October baseball, while a Middle East crisis is going on, is like his own personal steroid era. It's the best thing I've ever heard.
Hey, I wish Castellano would have played like that in the postseason when he was with the Cubs a few years ago. God, he didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, he was on fire.
I mean, he had a good season for him when they traded for him, but then he vanished in the playoffs.
I've got to say this. I am a Philadelphia sports hater for the most part, truthfully. And I don't hate the Braves. A lot of people think I hate the Braves. I just love to give Braves fans shit. It is extremely wild to me how likable this Phillies team is compared to the Eagles and the Sixers.
I agree with you on that.
This Phillies team feels like America's team. I mean, you got Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner, Aaron Nola. They're all guys that show emotion that are good while they do it. And I hate Philly fans more than any other fan base. But damn, Philly's home games are awesome.
Yeah.
I give them credit.
It is loud. So while we're on the topic, I do have this kind of ties in question from Spotify user Blake Talley, directed towards Harb for the quote shitty division comment he made. He goes on to say, while I will acknowledge the AL East is the best division, he says then, I think he means then, other than the Nats and whatever the Mets were this year, the NL East is the second best division in baseball.
Okay. Okay.
That was his comment. I just wanted to read it for the listeners.
I got ridiculed for calling him a kid a couple weeks ago, but obviously he wasn't old enough, and really I wasn't either, to be fair. But it is to his history. 30 years ago in the 1990s, there was a specific group of Braves that dominated a division the whole decade and only won one big one. Well, guess what? Y'all already got your big one out of the way. So enjoy them NL East banners and getting beat in the division series. That's all I'm gonna say.
This turned into a shit on the Braves segment.
They're my hater and loser.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. All right, before we wrap this baby up, the Vols are playing at Alabama. Who else in the SEC is playing this weekend, Harbin? What else? If you're not watching the Vols before the Vols kick off and after the Vols games ended, who we got?
All right, so we got. Be honest with you, it's pretty bleak little slate for SEC play.
Very.
At noon, kicking things off, we have the reeling Arkansas Razorbacks hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Arkansas is hoping to bounce back after, honestly, some tough losses. They're 2-5, but they are not that bad.
No.
I think it's a good way of putting it.
No.
And at 3:30, I'll leave our game last, obviously. But at 3:30, we have the number 20 Missouri Tigers hosting South Carolina. I think South Carolina's nails are in their coffin because I just ran across a video of Shane Beamer blaming his players' execution instead of his play calling. The caption was that he was playing with fire. I think that's putting it lightly. So we got that game in Como at 3:30. 2 night games. I think this one could get fun. We got number 13 Ole Miss going to Auburn, playing the Tigers. Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite according to ESPN. That's Hugh Freeze's first game against his old school that he built his name against. Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin. What could go wrong?
Yeah, no kidding.
And side by side on SEC Network, we got number 19 LSU hosting Army. So, yeah, whatever. And across the country in the top 25, we have Ohio State, Penn State at noon. That'll be a banger. I'm going to tell you all right now, I'm taking Penn State. Outside of that, I think we're probably the second best matchup. There's Duke and Florida State. That's a
night game, right?
Yeah. And also late night, we have Utah traveling to LA to battle the reeling Southern California Trojans after that disaster class they put on against Notre Dame.
Go you!
I don't want to. That was a second contender of mine for Hater and Loser of the Week was Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Did you watch that game? He looked lost at certain points.
I watched a little bit.
He played like shit.
Yeah. That's about it for the slate. Oregon, Washington State could be semi-fun, maybe. Doubtful. Got Iowa, Minnesota. That's a napper.
Yeah, that reminds me. Wisconsin and Iowa were on our pick sheet, or was on our pick sheet this last week, and the line was Wisconsin -9.5. And I was like, give me Iowa, no questions asked. And I don't know what the over-under was. I think I heard it was like 34-35. I can't imagine anybody took the over in that game.
Yeah.
In the SEC, I think that Mississippi State Arkansas game could be interesting.
Man,
just because those teams are kind of even, and Arkansas, you're right. They've played some really tight games and lost some tough games. The LSU, Alabama, and now who was the other one? Ole Miss over the last 3 weeks.
I like KJ Jefferson, man. I like Sam Pittman, man. I hope they get a W this Saturday.
Yeah, I watched them against Ole Miss a couple weeks ago when we were off, and I mean they've been battling. They're playing hard. They're just, they're like everybody else. They've got some issues, and it's cost them some games late. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, has anybody got anything else before we decide to cut this baby off?
No, big game come Saturday, baby. Third Saturday in October, baby. A lot on the line.
It's always been my favorite game. Tennessee football's my favorite game that they play every year. Tennessee, Alabama. When I was growing up, Brett, you're just a few years younger than me, so you probably understand this more than Harb does. But that was the game. Florida was becoming that when we were growing up. But I just remember when I was little, it was Tennessee, Alabama, and when we finally beat them in '95, I went crazy. Middle school niece was going nuts when we finally beat Alabama at Legion Field.
That was our biggest rivalry for till probably Steve Spurrier's years.
Yeah.
It kind of flipped then. That was kind of when the Florida kind of took over as our number one rivalry.
Until recently, until Georgia and LSU have come along, Tennessee and Alabama were the two most successful programs in the conference for decades. I mean, Alabama and Tennessee were 1 and 2 in SEC titles. I think Georgia's passed Tennessee since then. But I mean, you look back at the history of the conference, you've got Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Alabama, Auburn. Who else? That's like the three big rivalries in this conference. Besides, you got recently, you got LSU, Auburn, LSU, Florida, maybe Florida, Tennessee. But historically, looking back, it's Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia. You could at one point there was a Tennessee Auburn thing going back and forth for a couple decades, but it went away when the divisions came around. But yeah, those three are this is one of the big ones in the conference every year. So.
I expect you to go down to Tuscaloosa and just win the damn game, Niece.
I'll do my part. Eric Neese will be there. We'll have our JWTDG stickers on. We'll have cigars ready to go in our pockets, ready to light up in Bryant Denny. So,
love it.
I'll keep you guys posted. If I do go, it's 90% sure. I just got to figure out when I'm leaving. The Hornets got a game Friday night. I was hoping for a night game in Alabama. It'd make it a little easier. Make it a little easier on me to travel, but I'm okay with 3:30.
I was too, but who else were they going to put at the 3:30 game out of that slate? I mean, I kind of knew looking ahead last week. I mean, even if we lost, I think we were still going to be the 3:30 game.
Yeah, and we'll find out, I believe, if you're listening to this, it's probably Monday, but we'll find out on Monday what time Tennessee will play against Kentucky. And I'm trying to I always like to guess and see what time we'll play that week very quickly. There's Vandy, Ole Miss, Tennessee at Kentucky, Mississippi State at Auburn, South Carolina at A&M, Georgia at Florida is already set for 3:30 on CBS, so we know we're not playing there. I think that'll be a night game.
I hope.
Yeah, I think it'll be a night game. Yeah, noon. I don't see us playing at noon. I don't know who would be in South Carolina. A&M is probably not going to be at noon. There's a lot of options they can choose from, but I don't see that one being a noon kickoff. I think they're going to save Tennessee's noon kickoff for UConn here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
But guys, up
4 because it's homecoming. It'll probably be at 4:00.
I heard y'all say that yesterday. I didn't know that it had to be at 4:00 for homecoming.
But it don't have to be, but normally they're pretty good about being able to do the homecoming festivities during the day and not have to get up at the ass crack of dawn to do it. So I would assume my game will be at 4.
That's true. We'll see. We got to get through this week first. I'm lasered focused on the Crimson Tide. I say this every week in our pod text. Everybody's talking about this and that and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I was laser focused on the Cox. I was laser focused on the Aggies. And now I'm laser focused on the Crimson Tide. It's all that matters. It's all that matters. And the Mafia.
Just win the damn game.
And the Mafia, I'm laser focused on them on Tuesday and Thursday night this week. We got softball games in the tournament.
Big games.
Big games. We're in the Final Four of the winners bracket of the men's tournament. Win or lose, we play Thursday night. So
Yeah.
if you're bored on Tuesday night, come out to historic Caswell Park at 8:00 and watch us old timers play softball.
Boys,
What?
go Vols.
What?
All right,
Go Vols,
Brett.
baby.
Appreciate you coming on, Harb.
Yeah.
Hey, special shout out real quick. Shout out to everybody that come and hung out at the Section My Way tailgate this week. And
It was a banger, wasn't it?
yeah, it wasn't one of our bigger ones. We had some missing components. We had some people under the weather. Hope you get to feeling better soon. But we had fun. Niece and I mastered the grill, did some smash burgers.
Here we go. Kevin Griff was ripping on us for our burgers.
Yeah,
He
Griff
said they weren't done enough, but hell, there wasn't any left over.
So I made the next batch. I made about 4 hockey pucks just for him, and he loved them. So go figure. Yeah, it was fun. Shout out to everybody that came and hung out. I guess the next time we'll get rocking, which I don't know if it'll be rocking, but I guess it'll be Yukon.
It's always rocking.
Go Vols, baby.
I'm not making the trip this weekend. Niece and your uncle and everybody going, bring home the win, JWTDG. There is Gathering Thunder that I may be getting the trip together to go to Lexington. So
Ooh.
I haven't been there. I'd like to check out one off the sheet. But like you said, I'm laser focused on the Tide. We're never worried about Kentucky, but we're damn sure not worried about them right now.
Nope.
So
we'll talk about them next week. We'll talk about them next Sunday.
I'm laser focused on the
Go Vols,
Tide
baby.
and lighting up a cigar Sunday evening about 10 after 7.
So, Brett, appreciate you coming on. Harbin,
Oh, yeah.
always good to see you.
Wow.
I'll leave everybody with this message. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Vols. Blitz, Vols, blitz. We'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.